If you stare at this illusion for around 30 seconds without moving your eyes, then you can watch as it gradually disappears. This is the Troxler effect, which states that fixating your eyes on a certain point, then other stimuli nearby that point will eventually fade away. And while we're here, if you listen to my voice very carefully, you are feeling very, very sleepy. That was a joke, don't panic, I'm not hypnotizing you. But let's look at this, the impossible cube. The impossible cube draws upon the human brain's inability to process a supposed impossible object, sending most people into a confused funk as they try to distinguish between 2 dimensions and 3. British chap Alex Chinnock's first entry on this list is this incredible illusion which involved him building a replica of one of Covent Garden's historic market buildings. He then used a 4-ton counterweight to ensure that it appeared to be floating in mid-air. The work, entitled "Take My Lightning But Don't Steal My Thunder," was on display for just 22 days in October 2014. This simple illusion boggles the mind as only one of the toy soldiers the eye initially sees and uses as a reference point is real. The images of the rest, printed out at an angle, seem real right up until the last moment. German physiologist Ewald Hering believes that the reason your mind perceives these 2 red lines as bowing outward is that the human mind overestimates the angle at the intersection. The 2 lines are completely straight and parallel. This illusion doesn't seem like much until you begin to focus on individual circles when they start moving. Is the whole image moving, or is it only in your head? Who knows? The Hermann grid is an absolute classic among optical illusions. Discovered in the 19th century, this phenomenon sees the human eye perceive a grey blob at each intersection of the white lines. You look directly at it and it disappears. This clever advertising campaign for soft drink Pepsi Light makes it look as though crates of the drink are floating in the interior of the truck. A terrifying prospect for anyone who's just a bit thirsty. This is another example of an impossible object. While it looks perfectly reasonable, on its left-hand side, these 2 cylindrical prongs morph into 3 by the other end. How does it do that? Well, it probably doesn't. It's an optical illusion. You do know how these work, right? Also known as the Pac-Man illusion, this consists of 12 lilac discs which disappear briefly in turn. When you stare at the central cross for about 20 seconds, you'll start to see a green disc erasing the lilac ones, which were there only a moment before. Another impossible object, the wondrous wooden block in this image, might seem simple, but are they side by side or sitting one on top of the other? Your eyes won't be able to work it out. How many legs do you see on this elephant? Can you be absolutely sure about that? If you look closely, you'll see the root of this riddle. The only correct elephant leg in the drawing is the back left leg. That leg is completely intact, but the others aren't. This illusion is designed to test your perception of male versus female characteristics. Most people associate the left-hand face with being female and the right as being male. In reality, they're both the same androgynous face. Your mind just assigns them a gender when told that it should. An absolute classic of the optical illusion genre, the Necker cube is completely ambiguous. Where the lines cross, it is impossible to tell which are front and which are behind, meaning that your brain will often flip back and forth between the 2 states. Also referred to as the Titchener circles, it's still unclear why your mind associates these 2 circles with being different sizes, when in fact, they're totally identical. This garment took social media by storm, but the illusion only appears because of different interpretations of how the scene is illuminated. The brain automatically processes visual input before we consciously perceive it, meaning that some people see blue and black, while some people see gold and white. The dress may have split the entire world as people wonder exactly what sort of trick this seemingly clever garment was playing on us, but actually it's just a case of lighting. There are loads of different variations of this illusion, but the effect is always the same. Although it doesn't always look like it, the blue and green background of this image are both the same colour. This optical illusion gave the town of Punta Arenas in Patagonia, Chile, a completely new street. The cleverly crafted painting on the side of the building made it look as though the small alley that didn't exist ran off from the main street. The pillars in this illusion stay in exactly the same horizontal position, only moving up and down, but your brain is hardwired to believing that they should be moving to the right, which is why they appear to snap back to their original position when the cycle restarts. Terrifyingly, the floor in this image is completely flat. The illusion makes it seem as though gravity wells have been formed in the floor, and it's a brave person who ventures into that shop without feeling a bit seasick. Dutch artist MC Escher is known for his art displaying optical illusions. This 1953 lithograph shows people existing in 3 different forms of gravity, allowing them to use the 7 sets of stairs which come out of a variety of different perspectives. This is the sort of place you really don't want to wake up with a hangover. Alec Shinnick's second entry on the list, entitled From the Knees of My Nose to the Belly of My Toes, was an installation in Margate, England, where Chinnock took a derelict building and retooled the facade so it looked as though it was slipping down the front into the garden. This one can be found in almost every basic psychology textbook. The 2 monsters in the illusion are exactly the same size, but your brain adjusts the image, which it perceives to be the most distant, in order to compensate for them being larger than they seem. In this illusion, it is initially hard to look beyond the face looking at you, until you notice that the face is both facing sideways and forwards. It's a classic mindbender. You might not think it to look at this image, but the cars on this sleepy suburban street are not actually full size. Using a filmmaking trick of perspective, these tiny scale models are made to look like their full-size counterparts. This illusion uses mirrors to create the incredibly convincing effect of having been beheaded and your head placed on a platter. Not much fun. It's convincing to anyone looking on and can often be difficult to decipher. Another classic illusion, if a bit of a dark one. This park in Paris was adapted using perspective art to make it look like a globe. The effect is entirely convincing to onlookers, but step to the side a little bit and it becomes obvious that the park is obviously just as flat as any other. This triangle is known as the Canizza triangle, after its founder, Gaetano Canizza. When you look at the image, your brain creates a triangle in the black space, using the sliced circles, or Pac-Man, to create contours. Artist David McCracken's Diminish and Ascend appears to stretch all the way up to the sky, but this stairway is actually just an incredibly clever perspective trick. This is a variant of the endless staircase illusion created out of Lego bricks. What you're looking at is an impossible object, which is also known as the Penrose Triangle. I don't know about you, but I've got a bit of a headache.